What's up, man?
Dude, I'm excited to be here.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
The Jeff Yacos of Yacos and Associates is joining us today.
And you even pronounced my last name right.
Dude, I know. It took me a while.
It's funny.
Yacos or Yaco.
It's not like tacos. A lot of people think that. Long A, Yacos, Y-A-C-O-S. Yes.
Good job. What's up, man? What are you drinking today?
Well, thanks to you, whatever this fancy KU can drink is here, but lemon vodka soda, kind of tough to beat right now.
From I don't even know where it's from, but I saw Jeff Yacos.
Hey, you know what? It's got a KU on it.
Perfect.
It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm drinking some long
cool.
drink.
Cool.
Don't know what it is, but it tastes good. The Finnish long drink.
Right?
Well, I just want to dive in and had a few questions for you. I want to go over and just try to help out, one, the producers, the young producers out there that are getting started, and two,
Don't get into real estate. I'm just kidding.
yeah. But at the same time, all those that are looking to buy a house, how this market is, and hear from someone that's a professional, but also probably the most humble and energetic human being I've ever been around.
Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So tell us your story. How long have you been in real estate? How did you get started in real estate? Like, what is your pathway?
Sure. So, believe it or not, I was actually on my brother's first bachelor party. And anyways, my one of his good friends actually ended up being my first broker. Was just like, hey, I had my lawn mowing business at the time, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to do this forever. And so he was like, hey, I think you should get your real estate license. I thought it was really cool. So,
And what year was this?
that was back in 2013.
Okay.
So anyways, I actually went ahead and got licensed. I had my landscaping company, and then I remember the first time I had a client or a mowing customer that was like, hey, we're gonna be moving soon. Do you know any realtors? I'm like, yes. So I basically went as just in a referral status. So hooked them up with my broker at the time. They sold their house, and then I got a nice little check in the mail. I'm like, what's this for? He's like, that's your referral fee. I'm like, okay. So yeah,
I'm done mowing lawns.
I know, pretty much. But so anyways, went to KU. Somehow graduated in 4 years. Then I came back. I used my degree for maybe 2 weeks. We'll say 3 weeks.
What was
maybe.
your degree in?
Sport management.
Nice. Everyone
It was
at
a lot
KU.
of fun.
A lot of my friends were sport management at KU.
Anybody that could not do math went and did sport management. So
I don't know if anyone were in sports.
yes, no, yeah. So anyways, yeah. Then so I went back home. I continued mowing yards. I had another guy. Then we actually merged with another guy. So we ended up getting up to about 140 accounts.
Wow.
And it was, we grew very fast. It was the most stressful time of my life.
Yeah.
Just, two young guys in the early 20s just didn't really know what we were doing, but we were trying to grow a business. We don't know exactly what we were doing, but it kind of got to a point too, or a little bit later on, I was like, I really want to dive into real estate. So this was 8 years ago now. Yeah, that I kind of fully, so I sold the company. I was in a lot of debt, so I took the little bit of money that I made from the sale, paid off some of the credit cards, got into real estate. It was eating off ramen noodles for quite a while until I started getting going. So that's kind of how I got it started. I was a boutique brokerage, went to RE/MAX, and I'm at Realty Executives. So.
Realty Executives, you've been there for 2 years?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you've been in for, what's that, 6 years now?
This will be my 8th year. 7th grade.
Golly, it's long.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I know. So.
All right, so it's your 8th year. We all know this year is down.
Weird.
It's weird.
Weird.
It's a weird
I mean,
year.
truthfully, I will say in January, I had 0 sales. February, I had 1. And at the end of January, I'm like, do I suck at this now?
were you freaking out a
What's
little
going
bit?
on? I had such a great year the year before. And it's just, I think, interest rates were part of it too, but obviously just kind of coming off of such of a crazy year. And then everything really started to come. So I'd say this year, it's we've got some really good months and then, followed by a couple crappy ones. But I think the main thing too is just to understand that that's kind of the market in general. Usually, sometimes really, really great, sometimes it's not great, and just kind of powering through.
So how hard was that mentally as an agent to go through? Because we felt the same way as the mortgage side.
Yeah.
But on the agent side, how was that going through the 0 and 1 months to come out? Would you do anything different to start getting contracts, or is it more of just relying on your system?
Truthfully, actually just kind of relying on my system. So I'm kind of like an old school. I had a really good mentor when I went to RE/MAX, Majid Ghavami.
Great,
he was
great
just
mentor.
kind of truthfully, just the simplest things. So I do birthday cards every single month. Just continue doing those. I also do 5 phone calls a day. So, you know, especially with like younger agents reaching, it's like, what do I do? What do I do? And it's like you can spend a lot of money on a lot of different things to try to pay for leads, to do whatever. Fortunately, like growing up in Kansas City, I have a very good COI. Right. So, truthfully, just checking in on people, seeing how they're doing, you know, like, and especially when people have kids, checking in on them, see how, you know, making sure they're sleeping, or if they're not, like, hey, these are some other things and tricks and stuff like that. So for me, it's just been kind of genuinely checking up in on people.
Right.
And fortunately, I've gotten to a point too where we're basically 99% referral basis now. So kind of making that extra step too, just to say that, you know, be vulnerable with people. It's like, hey, you're my lifeline. I mean, you were referred to by, you know, Joe down the street, and I really appreciate that. Like, if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell, I'd love the opportunity to at least talk with them. So I've been doing a lot more of that, and truthfully, it's you know, it's helped out a lot.
Yeah.
So,
You started birthday cards, five phone calls a day. Anyone can do that, but people don't.
You know, it's funny. People don't like getting uncomfortable.
Exactly.
So I've always had this phrase, and I always stick by it. If you can master being uncomfortable, you'll be successful. Whatever you do. You do all the things that make you uncomfortable, they're gonna get easier over time. A lot of people don't like getting on the phone. If you continue to do it, you will start getting sales. You'll do whatever industry you're in. If you can master it, you'll be successful.
Get used to the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's the key. And so that you just stuck to birthday cards, phone calls. I will admit personally,
A lot of happy hours.
I love getting the Jeff Yacos call. Hey, what are you doing? Dude, it's Tuesday at 2:30. All right, cool, you wanna hang out? That's one of my favorite things in the world.
I know, right? And hopefully one day maybe we start the speakeasy I was talking about.
That's what we're talking about now. That speakeasy, we have a great idea. Everyone stay tuned to speakeasy. It's gonna come. It is awesome. And so what does your team look like now? You got started, this year's starting to roll.
Yes.
You guys, I mean, heck, your year to date, you've done quite a bit of transactions. Obviously it's slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
But you guys
so
have kind of got going.
we're tracking about 10% less than we did last year, which honestly, that's kind of what we were expecting moving forward anyway. Just based on kind of the situation with the economy and rates and everything like that. So, fortunately, I've got a very, very talented team of people that work with me. My assistant Molly, who literally takes care of everything.
She's phenomenal.
She's incredible. A lot of stuff behind the scenes. You know, especially anything with title, lenders. She kind of takes care of all that. So, truthfully, I'm able to be, you know, having the happy hours, getting to, you know, touch base with all my clients, and knowing that like all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Katie signed on with us a little bit over a year ago, and she's just been crushing it. She's actually dived in a lot more commercial, which, you know, from my end, I'm residential, but like now that I know I've got Molly and Katie that kind of work on that commercial side, we're kind of a full broker system now.
Yeah.
So anybody that's, you know, either they're looking for land or they're wanting to, you know, new construction, or they're, you know, they want to sell a building or want to do leasing, like we can kind of take care of everything.
It's awesome.
And it's Steven, who's the last agent on the team. He's kind of directed more to the renovation styles now. So I helped him. We helped him buy and sell a lot of houses in the last, you know, 5-6 years. Now he's just kind of gotten to a point too, with profit margins being as slim as they are, where he's doing a lot more just full-on renovations.
Right.
So,
but it's also great because you have someone that does commercial, you have someone that does renovations, you're a master at residential. But you got everything.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, like just having that good group of people, and like, you know, while we're all colleagues, we're all good friends. So we also know that like if we don't know something, we can reach out to somebody else and we're gonna find the answer.
And it's relationship.
People can read bullshit like that. So, you know, at the end of the day, if I don't know something, it's, hey, you know, I'm not exactly sure. I'll get you the information within, you know, 5-10 minutes. Great. Like people appreciate that. You know, you don't need to just kind of lie your way through anything. It's just people are gonna see your bullshit. So, truthfully, nobody knows everything, right? But if you can surround yourself with the right people, get people the right answers, it's a win-win.
Yeah, and you are probably one of the most authentic people there is in the business. I mean, you are who you are, and you're unapologetic for it. You're not a guy that's gonna wear a suit to a place.
I know this is the most dressed up.
I was gonna say, dude, I
like Stitch Fix, bro. I mean, like the whole thing, it's like Stitch Fix and Kohl's. Yeah.
Shout out to Kohl's.
Right.
All right, so let's dive in a little bit to the buyer side. If you had advice to a buyer who's sitting at a home, but they are hesitant to move due to interest rates and rising prices, what would you tell them right now?
So this is in the Kansas City market. I can't speak for other markets, but it doesn't matter what it is. Now, obviously, we don't want you to buy a house that's the roof's caving in, but buy something.
Right.
Buy something. If you kind of look historically too, and it's funny because even back in 2018, people were like, "Oh, it's going to crash. Something's going to happen in the market." We don't have any inventory. There's no inventory, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, if rates get lower, what's going to happen?
People are going to come out of the woodworks and start buying.
Bingo. So that's what I was kind of telling everybody. Like, you're not going to have your end-all be-all house. But like, just get into something. And I was kind of focused on two main principles when I'm meeting with a buyer. The first one, we want to stay on budget. So speak with the lender, figure out what kind of products you qualify for. Figure out like how much money you're going to put down, because obviously you don't want to buy a house and have to change everything about your lifestyle. And then the second thing is finding something that's safe, sound, and functional, right? So like, it might not have the granite countertops. It might not have that, the extra 1,000 square feet you're looking for, but something that's going to work for the time being.
Right.
And truthfully, use that, and then, save up 2, 3, 4 years down the road, buy the next house.
Right.
I would say I probably talk myself out of more commission than any other agent, because truthfully, the smartest thing that you can do is buy and hold. So if you can buy something for 3.5%, 5% down, save, keep having the bank account to buy that next house. And there's other options out there. So it's, I met with a client yesterday. He's like, not sure what I'm going to do. I don't necessarily need my proceeds. I've got a house in Prairie Village. I got it on a 15-year at 2.25. I'm like, don't sell it.
Yeah.
Like, hold on to it. At the same time too, people are like, oh, I don't want to be a landlord. It's really, there's not as much to it that
I'm doing it right now.
Right.
It is.
It's not as hard as, right, exactly. If you do the right steps, vetting your tenants, you're going to be just fine.
Especially if you are living in the house currently, you fix the problems because you live there personally. You know what's going to happen.
Bingo.
You're not going to have anything big.
Right.
And so when you're renting it out, it's not bad whatsoever.
Right.
So
that's the other thing too, with people that are like kind of on the fence on buying. What are you paying for rent?
Right.
Like, everything is just going fucking crazy.
Because those landlords aren't going to change their prices.
No.
They're going to make a return.
No. You're getting multiple people bidding on rents now, like on single family, 2-bed, 1-bath homes and Roland Park Mission. You're looking at 18, 19, sometimes $2,000 or north of that.
Silly.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
again, it speaks to that. Mine's at 95th and Antioch, 3-bed, 3-bath.
Yeah.
And had a bidding war.
Yeah.
For a rental.
Yeah.
Made no sense to me.
Yeah.
So, but it makes sense. Buy and hold is not bad.
No. Again, and
The situation has to be right.
The situation does have to be right. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like sometimes people are like, you know what, I want to take all my money and I want to move forward. Great, totally fine. But is that if you're able to, I'm going to be strategic about it, try to build that passive income. Like, maybe we pull out a HELOC to get that cash, and you start paying that down, and then use the the rental income to offset paying off that. So again, I'm such a big fan of it. I think it's such an easy way for especially young buyers getting in now, that by the time they're 27, 28 buying that next house, you've already got one stream of income.
It's genius.
Bingo.
And even if you sell it in, let's say you do sell in 3 or 4 years, great.
You're still going to make it. Yes, exactly.
You're not going to lose money, especially right now. And there's a specific market right now, like for the rest of the year, and I'll dive into our next question, but for the rest of the year, where interest rates are higher. You hit on this earlier, but if rates go back to the 5s, what's going to happen? It's going to be nuts.
Oh, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to go back to the 5s. Right. When it happens, it's going to be nuts here, because all those people that are in the woodworks are going to come out.
100%.
And all of a sudden, the first-time home buyers that have little cash, the FHA buyers and the VA buyers are going to be pushed to the bottom.
Right.
And so now's an opportunity.
Yeah.
All right, so with the market where it is, where do you see the housing market going for the rest of the year going into 2024? Obviously, the famous line is no one has a crystal ball.
Right.
But you're in it every day. Yeah.
Well, okay. So again, I can speak to the Kansas City market. Again, just because we're very familiar, but you kind of look to, if somebody were to say 5 years ago, they're going to have the NFL draft at Union Station.
Right.
I would have said bullshit.
Right.
The amount of stuff that they are doing with the new women's soccer stadium down on the Riverwalk, everything they're doing in the Crossroads, the West Bottoms, we have so many people moving here too, that I really don't see anything changing. Now, do I think that homes are going to continue to increase 12% year over year? No,
Nobody
it's
does.
just, but we've also been saying that for 5 years now, 4 years now. So truthfully, I just don't see any change.
Right.
Really.
I agree.
I mean, even going into next year now, obviously, and who knows? I mean, if rates get, let's say, to double digits, which I don't think they will, but if they do, maybe that starts changing things. But right now, like I said, our price per square foot is still, very reasonable to some of these bigger cities. We've got really good infrastructure, the 435 loop. Like, if you compared us to, like, let's say Denver, for example, or Dallas, right? They built all of their buildings right next to the highway.
Right.
So, it's very expensive to build a fucking bridge going right on top or below, compared to, if you think about 435, you can continue to just keep adding lanes. So I would say Kansas City did a great job with that. I-35, I-70, you've got a lot, Panasonic, they're building this massive, over in DeSoto.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Both sides.
And our schools are great. So great place to raise a family. I mean, I don't really see any change in the Kansas City market.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, there is so little supply and so much demand that, like, people are like, oh, the houses have to drop in price. No, people are just finding out what Kansas City has to offer.
Right.
And it's just growing.
Yeah.
It's not changing.
Right.
These are the new norms, and they're going to be here for a long time.
Bingo.
Yep. We are on the same page there. Good.
How many times do you think I say bingo during our entire talk here?
As many as you
7,
can.
12?
Yeah, I hope you can say it 27 times. that makes me feel good, like I'm saying something right.
1738.
Squad. All right, so let's dive in a little bit as you as a realtor. What sets you apart from the other 13,000 realtors in Kansas City? Because there's a lot.
Man.
And I said you're one of the most humble guys I know, and you're just your authentic self. But what does?
Well, okay. First off, we have a really, really good process. So, especially from let's say for the buying side, I like to get to know everybody because it's got to be a win-win on both.
Yep.
On both sides. I've had people that came in where we start off the conversation and it doesn't feel like it's a right fit. I mean, honestly, from their side, my side. But fortunately, majority of the time it does. So, truthfully, just getting people to come into the office, understand what we're about, what our values are, and again, and that my number one thing is budget for them, making sure we're on budget. So, talk with a qualified lender and figure out where we start first.
Yep.
We don't like to just oh yeah, let's look under $300,000 to $400,000 house when they can qualify for $250,000, and then it's oh, these are all the houses that we could get. Oh, we can't get that anymore. So, first meeting with lender, and then the second thing too, like I said. Finding something safe, sound, and functional. Now, obviously, $250,000 doesn't really get you a lot in Johnson County, right? So I've kind of gone out and beyond as figuring okay, where are these other good areas that are kind of up and coming that might not necessarily be on the Kansas side, or they're a little bit further out. Again, that you can kind of get your feet wet, put your foot down and buy something, just because it is getting harder. So I would say just setting the right expectations up front, just for buyers and sellers, is a big part. And again, I'm very authentic. I'm not, from the selling side, we offer a lot. I pay for the entire house to get cleaned, which a lot of agents don't do.
So smart.
I bring a stager in, to make sure that everything's set up where it needs to be for the right, walk through on the homes and for photos and all that stuff, other than, just the social media stuff that we do. You gotta earn your commission, and it's funny, you'll see it every day too, where these houses that are listed, it's taken from a fucking Nokia phone from 1992.
It's crazy.
Or there's people in it, or there's it's just so. I would say kind of our tagline one of our taglines is market your house like it's your biggest asset, because it is. So but anyways, I'd say the other thing too is I keep things pretty simple from a selling standpoint. A house sells on two main principles: exposure and price. If you price it correctly and we do the right things to get the house ready, you will sell it, and you'll typically get more than what you're even listing it at. If you overprice it, it's going to sit. if you underprice it, you might not actually get the amount of money that you probably should have. So it's kind of hard to overprice a house in this, underprice a house in this market. But again, those two main principles is kind of what we focus on.
And how do you go about focusing on those?
I mean, kind of funny too. It's, a lot of times when people have been in their house for, let's say, 25, 30 years or so, they're like, oh, I heard they sold for this. My house is worth this, but did you see that I did this custom thing over here? I'm like, man, these are the stats. I give you
numbers
what,
never
I give you the actual numbers. And I think if we price it this way, more than likely we're going to be able to get more. But if we start increasing the prices, you're not going to get the ideal terms, so on and so forth. So
and most people are responsive to that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just like I'm not pulling numbers out of my ass. It's just this is what it is.
Right.
And then on the exposure piece, like I said, the prep phase is so huge, and that's what I dial in every time. We've got one shot at the circus, so let's put our best foot forward. And it's, the little things too, just like I have a honey-do list. If I'm walking up to a house and there's fucking trees growing out of the gutters, it's not gonna be the first best impression, right? So like getting the gutters clean, like cleaning the windows, paint touch-ups around the trim, just little things like that buyers will pick out. So, you don't have to have the most updated house, it doesn't matter, but we're going for clean and well-maintained. Yeah. So it speaks volumes.
Okay, that's awesome. If anyone's listening to that, there you go. Thank you for sharing your secrets.
I know, I was just gonna say, hopefully not too many people listen to this will be out of a job.
Yeah, everyone will be doing it. Yeah, exactly. All right, so one of the biggest things in real estate is making meaningful connections with others. One thing that you're also, I've realized, is great at is making great connections with other realtors or like-minded people in the industry.
Yeah.
Can you speak just on the connections, not only with your sphere, your COI, how you do that, but also with others in the industry and why you think it's so important?
I'm glad you brought it up because, so when I was a newer agent, and I've always been one just for like looking for guidance, looking for advice to try to be, deliver the best service that I can. Where, I started off, unfortunately I had Majid to kind of help out with kind of getting my systems and what to do in place. But I would have a cup of coffee, or try to do at least a cup of coffee or a cocktail at least once a week with a different agent that I wanted to get to know and figure out, hey, what are you doing that's going well? Now, obviously, as a newer agent, it's pretty difficult because everybody's super busy. But, I was able to finally get some time scheduled to go meet with others. And all it does is just obviously build that rapport. You get to meet all these really cool people that have done these really successful things. And just it puts yourself in just to a better situation. I'd say honestly, if a house is listed in Johnson County, I'd say 25% of the time, I'm going to know the agent that's listing the house. Yep. And truthfully, from a buyer's perspective, like it's going to help you because
that's worth so much.
100%, because that agent knows that one, like your docs are going to be great. You're not going to have errors. It's another misconception I think that a lot of buyers don't know because you're signing paperwork that you sign maybe once every 5 years or every 20 years, whatever it might be. But if you have an offer if I get an offer over on one of my listings and the seller's name's fucking spelled wrong or like the numbers on page 4 don't add up, where does that offer go? It could be a great offer to the very bottom of the pile.
To the bottom.
Bingo. So again, like, sorry, I just kind of went off track there, but
no, it's a tangent. It's good.
Yeah. So, what were we talking about here?
Connecting with other agents.
Connecting with other agents. Sorry. So, but anyways, knowing that agent on the other side is going to be the best your benefit because I'd say like-minded, successful agents want to work with because they know like, hey, they're not bullshitting. They're working with a good lender. They know that's going to get to the finish line. And it's going to be an enjoyable transaction. It's not. You're not going to send an as-is and then shoot over a resolution the day after. It's all about communication.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. So going back to when you first started till now, a lot has changed, a lot hasn't changed. What would you say is there's something that you've done that has a compounding effect on how successful you are now?
Honestly, I just say staying in touch. Like the 5 phone calls a day that I've kind of talked to about at the beginning, I just do a very good job of staying in touch with people. I mean, I'm to a point in my career, people know what I do. I don't really bring up real estate. It's just genuine connections.
Right.
You know, I don't call it my love language, but like for my therapist, I'm a people pleaser. So it's like, it's not necessarily always good for relationships, but like from a business standpoint, it's awesome. I genuinely just care about everybody. I want to make sure they're doing okay. They're sleeping all right, you know, like
genuinely
checking in on
people, you know? When we had our kid 8 weeks ago, you were probably the first person that texted me personally as the dad asking, how are you doing? And that means more than you can ever know. But it's genuinely caring, because I didn't feel like that wasn't a sales tactic. That was you genuinely caring about that person.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, and especially the older that we get, you know, I think everybody's just looking for that time to just go vent and just let things out. And I think I'm a very easy person to talk to, where just truly staying in touch with people. And again, like the birthday cards too. I mean, I send a little scratcher in there. I mean, I make it fun, but again, just kind of another easy touch point that I genuinely am excited. I mean, I got a birthday card in the mail. Like, that you don't get those anymore. So it's the little things here and there, I think, over time that's compounded. Again, just being, I guess, native to Kansas City and just having such a good network and friend group, it's just kind of expanded from there.
Yeah.
So.
Is there anything you would have done differently when you first started compared to now that you can look back?
Oh, yeah.
That was a doozy question.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you get into this industry, there's so many things, like social media just overfloods with like lead gen and like, oh, if you pay for this software, we'll give you these leads, or if you do this.
That's so true.
I spent so much fucking money on bullshit that didn't really transpire to anything.
Just caring about people.
Yeah, I mean, truly, like, you know, it's, and anybody that's, you know, like doing like paid for lead sale, like it's hard, you know? So I just kind of transitioned into really just focusing in on my COI. And again, just the 5 phone calls a day. You know, some people say, oh, you should be able to do 10. It's like, well, yeah, maybe you should do 20, but like keep it easy, you know, don't overstretch yourself about it. But yeah.
5 phone calls a day.
5 phone calls a day.
That's the key. All right. I've heard you mention Majid multiple times throughout this.
Yeah.
How important is it to have a mentor in the real estate industry?
Especially now with the way that the market is.
Yes.
You will fail if you don't.
You truly will.
Or if you're just going into this blinded, I recommend any new agent, like, join a team. Like, at least get an idea as far as like how things work. You know, also building that connection base too is huge. Because, you know, it's like a lot of times my agents will write up offers, and every single time we said, call me before you write up, figure out who the agent is, because there's a good chance that I know of. Right. Especially for new agents, like that's invaluable to getting homes under contract.
100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, especially like you said, Majid, great reputation here.
Dude, just most genuine guy ever. I mean, and like I said, all of his processes were relatively simple. It's just like doing the little extra things, you know, to continue to grow your business. And we lined up perfectly. So.
Right. No, that's awesome. Yeah. I think that's huge for anyone listening to. If you can have someone that knows, rather, one, what they're doing, but two, knows people around that can connect.
I'm assuming the same thing in the lending world too.
Exact same, where you have to find that person that teaches you.
Who is it for you?
A guy named Jerry Colich.
Okay.
One of my favorite people in the world, took a chance on me when I first started. And he said, if you're good with people and you kind of like numbers, you can be successful at this job. Yeah. And voila, that's what he did. He taught me from the ground up of, hey, literally, like, you have to do mortgages. Yes, you have to know your stuff, because at the end of the day, if the loan doesn't close, you're done. But you have to be able to relate to people. And if you relate to people, then you can, and explain things in a way they understand, you can be beyond successful. Yeah. And owe a lot to him. Yeah, great cool. Dude. Great guy. All right. So another thing I'm passionate about is finding another passion outside of just work. Sure. Or starting another business. Or for me, it was buying a rental. Or I just closed on a flip today, actually.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, awesome. Man. It was a pain getting to the finish line, but we got there. Yeah. So, you own a company. an outside company of real
Yes.
estate called Radon Runner.
Yes.
You just took that over. How important is it to have like an outside passion or something drive you, and how hard was that to do?
So first off, I don't I don't recommend anybody buying another company when you have a 7-month-old and a baby on the way. But
good for your marriage.
Oh yeah, I know, right? But no, truthfully, it was it's kind of interesting with the whole radon. So right when I got into the business, I started meeting with different inspectors just because I was like, what is a home inspection? Like,
Right.
what is normal? Do you do chimney? Do you do side? Like whatever, blah. And so anyways, radon got brought up. I'm like, so what's the model on this? It's like, well, it's, we always recommend people test for radon because it's a cancer-causing gas. It just naturally occurs in the ground. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you test for it? It's like, well, we put a monitor in your house for 48 hours. You push start, you push stop. And so anyways, I just always loved like just logistics in general. And it kind of played into that too, where I was like, well, shoot, like maybe down the road, I'd love to own a company like this. You're helping coach and teach people about something that a lot of people don't know of as far as just the health concerns of radon. But in addition to just kind of on the strong suit, that they're somewhat relatable to real estate, but it's not over conflicting to what I'm actually doing. So truthfully, I just through the grapevine, I heard that Missy Gladstein, who's the previous owner, that she was selling and moving to Florida. I sat down and met with her, and we had a contract in 3 days.
Wow.
So now I also have a very fantastic wife who
She's awesome.
decided to give me the green light on it. She was like, I have no idea what radon is.
Shout out Taylor.
This is a lot of money. Are you confident in this? And I said 100%. So fortunately, my wife is very, very tech savvy, which I'm not. So she was able to kind of build the back end software, perfect it to where we're at now. Now we've got 2 techs that do all of our testing. We've got an incredible admin who handles all of the scheduling, all of the routing software, everything like that. So, at the end of the day, I'm so glad that we bought it and kind of, powered through those very stressful months to get to where we're at now. And we did just over 400 tests the last 2 months. So we're busy. And truthfully, it's again, it gives me the ability to, continue to focus on real estate, which is my number one passion, but 2, to like have talented individuals to help run the radon company. So,
how important do you think it is to have another passion outside of real estate?
well, first off, I think too, like people should always be looking for additional opportunities in general.
Yes.
Right. Just because you never know what could happen down the road, right? Whether it's something within the economy or the market that you're actually in, or just anything that's out of your control, right? So having that secondary income, but in addition, something that you're passionate about, it's kind of a no-brainer. Always just know that it's always going to be very, very, very difficult. More difficult than you think it's going to be at the beginning. But if you get, like I said, I'm such a firm believer in talent, finding the right people to, propel to where you really, the goal is for the business. That's the first stepping stone.
So like you're almost there?
Kind of. Yeah. Things are heading in the right direction. So,
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so as we wrap this up, what are a couple actionable steps, if you were an agent listening to this, that you could give advice to of how do you even get started, or how can you gain clients in this current market?
Sure.
What actionable steps would you tell people?
Sure. It's interesting because it not a lot has changed from the standpoint from where I started. Now, obviously, there was more homes in the market.
Right.
It wasn't as competitive, but there's also a lot of people needing to buy houses. There's just not as many houses out there. So, kind of first and foremost, open houses. Especially bringing a lender to an open house too to help bring that extra value add in. I'm like, hey, how are rates? What are we have these other products. This is blah blah blah, and just building rapport that way because. The other thing in real estate is like, you can talk to a tree, I can talk to a tree, but getting to really understand, the older demographic, younger demographic, just how to gauge people and directions to talk and so on and so forth. I think open houses is a great way to start doing that. And then again, just genuine conversations with people, having coffees, having drinks.
5 phone calls a day.
5 phone calls a day, you know. And two, like just meeting with other realtors. You know, soak in as much as you can. I mean, truthfully, if you know anybody that reaches out to me that's really serious about getting into real estate, I will meet with you. Like, because I think there's a lot of things too. People see all this fabricated stuff on social media.
Sunset.
Oh God, it's like, it's fun. I like the houses on the show, but some of the shit's just weird.
Oh, dude, but you know your wife watched it.
Oh yeah, I'll watch it. I watch it, but you know, people just see all these things and they hear like all the commissions, and it's like you have to pay taxes out of that. You have to pay your broker out of that. You know, like you have to work a lot of weekends.
A lot of weekends.
You know, and sometimes it's going to be maybe 3 or 4 months before your next commission check. Like, do you have money saved up? You know, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy, but also to let people know that like 83%. I know when I started, 83% of agents failed after their second year. Like, it's probably higher now, to be honest. So like, just knowing all the stuff that you're going to have to kind of overcome up front, I think is the first thing that you need to realize.
And one thing I'm running into now is there's a lot of people who got started in 20, 21, 22, last couple of years that thought it was pretty easy.
Oh yeah,
because anyone could buy a house. I mean, they didn't care about rate. They didn't have to move.
Right.
They were just choosing.
Well, even with negotiations now too. Like, I mean, I've had a couple listings where, you know, like all agents have done was doing as is. You know, where they're waiving inspections, and you know, and then they write up a resolution and they're like, we want all of the plumbing replaced in the house. Like, okay, the house was built in 1979. It's copper. It's fine. Like, just not having any inkling as far as what's fair negotiation.
Right.
So again, I think that there's a lot of things to be said. You know, I mean, when I got in the industry, it was kind of just starting to go like this. So I haven't really experienced the low lows. But at the same time, too, just understanding the process and truly, at the end of the day, making sure you're representing your client the right way.
Right.
So.
Yep. All right. Well, for one of our last questions, I'm throwing a bone. Why is it important to have a good local lender as an agent?
Oh man. You know, it's funny. So whenever I get offers over on listings that I put up, and I'm not saying that these other lenders are not good, but if I see like of a Bank of America or I throw too many other banks under the bus here, but truthfully, like I know that like Fairway and there's a few other local lenders, I know that the job's going to get done. I know that
you don't have to worry about it.
I don't have to worry about it. And just the systems in general too, with all the notifications that come across, like we're always in a loop, and there's something to be said about that. So, you know, obviously you're my boy, but like truthfully, like anybody from Fairway, just the brand in general, offer comes over, I know this is a great company and the deal's gonna get done.
Right.
So, I'd say to buyers out there, like, if you get approved by Quicken, I'm probably not going to be accepting your offer. Like, I mean, truthfully, like having a good local lender that, you know, reputable name, it speaks volumes.
Volumes.
Yeah. Well, too, like, I mean, just on the aspect too, where I've had you call into the listing agent when you're working with a buyer, it speaks volumes. And I know, like, if I'm selling a house and I get a call, it's like, great, yeah, you know, they're pre-approved, they're already, you know, qualified, they're actually going to be doing this amount down, they do have more money that they theoretically could, but based off of interest rate, blah, blah, blah. Sounds great. I appreciate that, you know, that just being candid.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, it goes a long way. So just all the kind of little tricks and tips that you can do.
And like you said, with knowing the people, our job's meet with a lot of real estate agents. I know probably, like you said, you may know 25% of Johnson County. I may know 25% of Johnson County. If you know 50% of Johnson County, you're looking pretty good as a buyer. 100%. So it's huge right now.
Yeah.
Is there any other advice you would give anyone in real estate at all? Or anyone that's looking for a house right now?
Buy anything. No. I mean, truthfully, just getting into something. I mean, if you're on the fence about buying right now, just buy something. It doesn't have to be anything. It'll be the best investment that you make. I mean, truthfully, at least in the Kansas City market, I don't see any change. So being able to get your foot in now, And then down the road, if you don't want to keep it as a rental, you have a good amount of equity that you can do to buy that next house. Because houses aren't getting any cheaper. We all know that.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, from a buyer standpoint, just work with somebody that's qualified, that has a good reputation in the industry, and then I guess people that are looking into getting into real estate, because I'm not gonna lie, I love my career. It is a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of really cool people, but it is also, it's not always rainbows, unicorns. There's a lot of stress into it, but again, getting in, talking with a couple different agents, even before you're getting licensed, finding a mentor, finding a team that you can join, I think is super crucial. It is gonna help your chances of not being part of that 83%.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you for joining with us today.
Dude, anytime that you're gonna have beers and you want me to talk on the
I was about to say,
microphone,
how's the KU beer?
Dude, that's not bad. I don't know really, it's vodka.
I don't even know what it
lemon
is,
soda,
bro.
But it's,
I may turn Finnish after this because this long drink may be my go-to drink after today.
these are pretty fire.
They're
Maybe they'll sponsor us. I haven't heard of them.
Hey, you guys hear it here
There you
first. Finnish long drinks sponsor us. KU drink from, I don't even know who's buying.
I don't know.
They'll sponsor us too.
There you go.
Thank you guys.
Cool.